this is your first time coming to a South Dayton Democratic Club meeting, just raise your hand. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. If somebody left their glasses, yeah, there they are. There they are. We returned your glasses to you. So welcome. I hope you signed in. If you haven't, please scan this QR code and sign in. It does just help us know who's here, and it saves our secretary from having to decipher handwriting if you do it digitally. So thank you for that. We're going to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I've raised the flag. If you're able to stand with me and do the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll begin that way. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. I also am required to read this disclaimer because the University of Dayton is allowing us to use their space. So the views presented herein tonight are solely those of the speakers and do not represent the views of the University of Dayton. The university neither supports nor opposes the candidates and or parties mentioned within the provided remarks. So there, we've done it. And just so you know, tonight we are flipping the order of our meeting. Normally we start with our speakers. Today we're actually going to start with the more business-like portion because we did have some of our speakers driving a bit of a distance and we wanted to make sure that they had time to get here. So it's going to be a little different. If you're here, please come on in. We have some seats here in the front. We have more seats in the front over here. I don't know, Tom, are we able to, I don't know if we're able to get any more chairs from the over there. It's just an incredible testament to how much the Dayton community cares about this topic, to see so many people here. So please, if there is a chair near you, there's a couple more, there's some more chairs over here. So please don't be shy about sitting in the front. It's not like school. We're not going to test you extra for being in the front. Okay, so with that said, we're going to start off with Zach Lutz. Come on down, Zach, our treasurer, who's going to give us our treasurer's report.
Hi, everyone. Real quick, our bank account currently sits at $20,274.93, with $7,000 currently allocated to the Becky Coop Memorial Fund. As this says much better than I can.
Hey!
Yep. If you can, please pay your dues. I know a bunch of you already have this year. Thank you very much. We recommend $15 per person or $20 per household. If you can, please pay either via check in the box out there or via... Yes, do you have a question?
No, sorry.
Oh.
She's just excited about paying.
I have an empty seat.
Yes.
There's an empty seat over here. Yes.
One.
That's it? Okay, thank you, Zach. Also, just so you know, if you are paying by check, my daughter made a shoebox that looks kind of like an American flag for the checks because people were giving me checks and then I don't live with Zach, so then I have to hold on to it at my house for a month or give it to my husband who works across the street from Zach. We were having problems, so please put a check, if you're paying by check, in the box, the shoebox out there that looks very nicely decorated by my child. Okay, some business. If you would like a name tag, the name tag process is not super scientific. Some people are like, I signed up online, why don't I have a name tag? I'm like, because we don't really have a way to do that right now. If you want a name tag, a real one, like you see people with the plastic ones, which I forgot mine. If you want a real one, just email Steve, Stephen PH, and that's Steve right there. He does so much actually for the club. He's the sweetest guy, does a ton of stuff. StephenADill@gmail.com, say, Steve, I want a real name tag. And he will get you one, and the next time you come, you will have a real name tag. That is the process, so thank you, Steve, for doing all that for us. I'm going to give Mel Rodriguez a minute here to talk about being a precinct volunteer. Mel, where are you? There you are.
My digits are all over.
No, good time.
Yeah. So real quick, a precinct volunteer is basically like a neighborhood. If you're not familiar with precincts, it's basically like a neighborhood, like Schroeder Park where I live in Dayton. That's a precinct also. And a precinct has basically your voting block. So you live in a precinct and then that's where your polling location is. So we're looking for people who are interested in reaching out basically in their precinct/neighborhood to give voter information, kind of general get out the vote. There's a lot of changes in as you know, in like the voting and voter IDs and things, and we want to make sure that people understand absentee ballot, things like that, the change. That's real important to make sure we get out there. And we're kind of trying to flex our muscles a little bit before, the primary, making sure people know this stuff. We kind of test it out for the primary before we get to a general election. So my number's right there. Please take it. Text me. Preferred if you're interested in volunteering. Some of you may have thought about it. That's fine. Even if you're not sure if you want to do it or not, just reach out and we can walk you through it. So that's it.
Thanks, Mel. And one thing I don't have a slide for, but you might have seen, we'll clap for Mel. She does a lot of work. You might have noticed when you came in, Steve with the whistles. Steve is out there, another Steve, there's these little tiny whistles. If you would like one, we don't know if Dayton will be a rapid response type of area, but just know if you've seen probably the videos of people in Minneapolis blowing the whistles. If you would like a whistle, he's made over 1,000 of them on his 3D print farm, okay? They're little, yes, thank you. Steve, I don't know where you are. But Steve is right there. He made over 1,000 of these, and everyone can take one. There's little baggies. If you know you have a group of people who might like more than one, you can take a little baggie and take some, but they're there when you walk out on the right, and you can put them on your keychain. They're very tiny and apparently very loud. I didn't test them, but there it is, proof. So those are there. Thank you, Steve, for bringing those. Okay, we're going to have some candidates introduce themselves tonight. I just wanted to go over the procedures if you are a candidate or you're curious, like, how do I get to talk to South Dayton Dems? Any Democrat running for office is welcome to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves to our club. Please just let me know in advance that you want to speak. That allows me to plan the time so that our speakers get an equal amount of time as well. You can bring petitions, literature, yard signs, whatever you want. You can also make a Google slide to display behind you as you speak if you would like. So these are the candidates that we're going to have speaking to us tonight. This is the order in which they're going to go. We have Cassandra Rice, who's running for county probate judge, John Kulewicz running for Ohio Attorney General, David Esrati running for Congress in District 10, Tom Herner running for state rep in House District 37, Janice Beckett running for Congress in District 10, Kristina Knickerbocker running for Congress in District 10. We have a healthy primary going on there, and Mike Stevens running for state rep in House District 39. Vicki is going to be timing you. There's Vicki. So her hand signals are, you get 2 minutes. When you get to 1 minute, she's going to do this. When you get to 30 seconds, she's going to do this. When your time is up, she'll do this. And if you keep talking, I don't know what hand signal she'll give you. I'm not responsible for those at that point. So Cassandra, we're going to let you come on up and have some time to talk to us.
Thank you. I promise I did not get this spot because I've been complaining about down ballot elections or races. I am the very last that will probably appear on your ballot. So it is really important that you know and vote for your common pleas judges. Also, it is not too common that you see me in my Aunt Pearl's. My son and his third grade team decided to win all of their tournament games this weekend, which means that we get to keep playing basketball still. And I'm their head coach, so it's been a really good time. I'm so done. Since October, it's been a long season. Anyway, my name is Cassandra Rice. I am an attorney. I have been in Dayton since 2009 when I came here to go to law school at the University of Dayton School of Law. Since I've been in private practice, I have been practicing probate law in the probate court and doing estate and trust planning, and then also serving as an administrator, a guardian, a counselor to people who are in those roles, and to also be available to the court when they do other things, because the probate court does more than just running through estates and wills and trusts. It's a very interesting court. It is a one-judge seat. The judge is also the clerk of its court, so the judge gets to decide what comes and goes and what goes on the docket, which is a lot of power for one person to hold. It's been very interesting to see Judge Brannon run the court for the past 6 years, and I think it's time for a change. It's time for somebody with a lot more compassion, with experience serving in these capacities, who has had on-the-ground experience guiding you all through an estate or through a guardianship, knowing the struggles that you have had to administer some of these processes. So look for me. I do have a primary. I'd love to have your vote. If you want to reach out, that'd be great. I will have stuff available very soon. So thank you.
Good luck with the basketball. Up next, we have John Kulewicz, who is running for Ohio Attorney General.
Thank you, Rose, and good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited. This is the latest of a long series of meetings like this that we've been to throughout the state of Ohio, and it happens over and over. These rooms are full. Every seat is taken. Something is going on in the state of Ohio, and I could not be more excited to be here this evening with you. Thank you so much for having me. My name is John Kulewicz. In the old country, Poland, it's pronounced as John Kulewicz, and I'm told that at the State House, it's pronounced as J. Cool. Whichever way you want to pronounce it, I'm here to seek your vote for the Democratic nomination for Ohio Attorney General. Just by way of brief background, I'm from Columbus. I grew up there. I had a newspaper out to allow me to pay my way through St. Francis de Sales High School. I was able to win a scholarship that allowed me to go to college at the Ohio State University, where I studied American history. I then went to Yale Law School, worked for a judge for a year, and then practiced law for 44 years in the city in Columbus at a law firm. I took on and I won tough cases in the Supreme Court of the United States, the Supreme Court of Ohio, and federal and state courts around our state. And I'm ready to go to work for you as your next Attorney General. We need an Attorney General who's going to make it a priority once again to fight consumer fraud in the state of Ohio that steals our money, to fight wage theft that robs us of what we've earned, to fight unlawful discrimination that stands in the way of our success, to fight monopolies that raise our prices, Medicaid provider fraud that takes our money, and elder care abuse and nursing home fraud. Those should be the #1 priorities of our next Attorney General to help us all get through this, what we're going through in the state of Ohio right now, and I will do that for you as your next Attorney General of the state of Ohio. I have seen the need throughout the state for a choice between more of the same, which is getting us nowhere, and an aggressive new approach by the Attorney General to go to work for the people of Ohio for the data that things that matter for us. My name is John Kulewicz. I would appreciate your vote for Attorney General of the state of Ohio. Thank you so much.
And candidates, we do have a slide, just so you know, if you scan any of those things, that'll take you to more information about them. All right, up next we have David Esrati.
Hi, I don't really need to tell most of you who I am because most of you know me, and if you don't. But I've been doing a lot of stuff in Dayton for a long time. And I'm going to tell you first off and everything, #1, Cassandra Rice, please, in the primary, because Brandon running his best friend against him as a way to stunt the election is a bad thing. That would be Michael Wright. Do not fall for that, okay? #2, you just heard from the guy who's going to be the Attorney General. Well, right now, I'm doing the job of the Attorney General, filing a lawsuit in the Ohio Supreme, that's appealed to the Ohio Supreme Court to remove Mike Foley, our criminal clerk of courts, from office. It's a lot of work. There is no compensation for it. I am not a lawyer, I just play one on TV. But if you want somebody that's going to go to DC and take crooks out, I'm doing it here right now. And it's not the first time. I tried to take a Dayton Board of Education member out a long time ago using the same process. It's called quo warranto. And I just threatened that I would file the lawsuit, and he resigned finally after I proved that he changed his address. This is what goes on. Our party does not try to win elections in Montgomery County. It doesn't try in the state of Ohio. We need to change that because we have to get rid of Mike Turner so that we can get rid of Donald J. Trump, J.D. Vance, Kash Patel, all the criminals. So we're going to work really hard together and get people elected who can go and fight for you, who do not sell out. Turner has 31 billionaires backing him, including 4 that show up in the Epstein files. He hasn't made any apologies. I'm a service-disabled vet. I have done all kinds of stuff in this community. I write a blog. It's been there for 20 years, Esrati.com. If you go to electesrati.com for my campaign, please sign up to volunteer, make donations, and you'll find more information and positions than anybody else. Thank you so much. I'm so happy you're all here.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have Tom Herner running for State Rep in House District 37.
Hi guys, my name is Tom Herner. I'm running for House Rep in District 37. For those of us who don't know where that is, that's south of Kettering, it's Centerville, and it's the western section of Montgomery County. I'm a corporate internal auditor. I have a background in banking and legal technology. I grew up in Washington Township. I attended Centerville City Schools, and I graduated from Wright State with a degree in entrepreneurship in 2021. In 1911, when asked what the secret to success was, Wilbur Wright said, pick out a good mother and a good father and be born in Southwest Ohio. I did that. I agree with him. I think Wilbur was, no pun intended, right. Growing up in Dayton, often, my father would remark to us that so much of the modern world literally was created right here. Just some guys sitting around thinking in a barn or in the streets or in a field in Dayton. And they brought us airplanes, cash registers, pop-top can, step ladders, the entire modern world. You couldn't have Freon without us. My father would remind us this, and he would say, this is such a great place to live because this is a city where when people see a problem or something they can solve, they don't wait for somebody else to do it. They just get started and they do it. And that's why I'm running for State House and why I'm asking for you guys to vote for me. I'm not waiting for somebody else to show up and run a Dem in a seat that's only ever had ours run. Did I hit 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's somebody's phone.
It's actually a judge in Texas.
Wonderful.
She's a Democrat.
We support the judge in Texas. I understand the hardships that Ohioans face. I'm no stranger to tragedy. When I was 21, I lost my father, and like most Ohioans, I was from a single-income family. I had to learn very quickly how to grow up after that, and how to navigate in a world without my most trusted advisors. Lessons from that will guide me in representing District 37 in the State House. 4 key priorities. Fighting public corruption is my #1 thing. Easing the cost of living, providing education for all, and defending reproductive rights. If you agree with any of those things, please go to my website, tomforohio.com, and please consider supporting.
All right, next we have Janice Beckett, and she is also running for Congress in District 10. Welcome, Janice.
I am an attorney, so I brought, just to make sure I stay within the 2 minutes, I brought a script to make sure I don't go over time. I tamed it with my egg timer, so I should be in good shape. Good afternoon, I'm Janice Beckett, and I'm honored to be here with you. I was born and raised in Vandalia, Ohio, where I learned that responsibility, fairness, and service aren't abstract ideas, they're the way you show up for your community. Those values carried me from Vandalia Butler High School to Ohio Northern University to the University of Cincinnati College of Law, and they've guided me through nearly 40 years of federal service. I never planned to run for office. I'm not a professional politician. In fact, that's the last thing I ever wanted to be. But over the past several months, I've watched our democratic institutions strained in ways I'd never imagined. I've watched elected leaders look away when our democracy needed defending. I've seen members of Congress in both parties care more about keeping their jobs than preserving our democracy. And I realized that donating money and hoping for the best wasn't enough. I had to step forward. For nearly 4 decades, I served our country as a national security attorney. I've advised senior leaders at the Department of Defense on foreign military sales, international partnerships, multi-billion-dollar defense acquisitions, and the policies that shape our relationships with allies around the world. I'm running because I believe in a simple idea. Every American deserves dignity, fairness, and the freedom to shape their own future. That means protecting a woman's right to choose, because personal health care decisions belong to individuals, not politicians.
Okay.
It means ensuring that every eligible citizen can vote easily and securely, because democracy only works when everyone has a voice. It means building an immigration system that is sane, humane, and manageable, one that secures the border, streamlines legal immigration, protects dreamers, and treats every person with dignity. And it means fighting for social justice for all Americans, regardless of race, sex, color, national origin, religion, or sexual identity, because equality is not negotiable. And last but not least, I want to talk about affordability. We need policies that actually lower costs, strengthen supply chains, and support American workers, not political decisions that make life more expensive. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next, we have Kristina Knickerbocker, also running for Congress in District 10. Welcome, Kristina.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kristina Knickerbocker. I am running for Congress against Mike Turner. I am an Air Force veteran. I served at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for 10 years as an officer. I ended up as a major working at the 445th Aeromedical Staging Squadron, and I decided to leave because I have 2 young children, and I was working more days than not. I had 2 to 3 days off a month, which was not enough to enjoy my children. So I ended up working as a nurse practitioner at Five Rivers Health Center in the Dayton area, as well as Xenia. And the things I saw working there were devastating. I saw people throughout the community that hadn't seen a doctor in 5, 10, 20 years. And they come in with shoulder pain, and they have chronic kidney disease, and they have hypertension, and they are a day away from a stroke. And it's devastating because our community has been structurally and systemically built like that. Our legislators in Washington are not serving our community. As a nurse practitioner at The Ohio State University, as a neuro-oncology nurse practitioner, I take care of terminally ill patients, and they come to me with needs, and I do my best to treat them. So when I go to prescribe them a medication to help them feel better, I don't get to choose what they take. Insurance gets to choose what they take. And so I spend a lot of my time calling insurance companies to make sure that I can get the medication approved that I want my patient to benefit from. We have red tape throughout our government that is not supposed to be there. And we need people that have experience in the healthcare sector, in the military, and policy. And being a mom, I have a unique experience in a lot of different ways because I can relate to all the people that are struggling to put groceries on the table. And the affordability crisis we are in, people are struggling to buy homes, people are struggling to pay their medical bills, and we need to change that. So I'd love if you could join me. I have my kickoff event next week on March 3rd at the Dayton Beer Company at 5:30. My website is KristinaKnickerbocker.com. We are building our infrastructure. We've already gotten so much support from the community, and we would love for you to attend. You can find me throughout my social media platforms at Kristina Knickerbocker, and please join. I have so much more to tell you, but thank you for having me here tonight, and we'll talk more soon.
Last but not least, we have Mike Stevens. Mike, are you here? There you are. I thought I saw you sneaking. Mike is running for state rep in House District 39.
Well, thanks all for having me tonight. I'm really blown away also by this large crowd. So I'm running for District 39, which is the northern tier of the county. So I'm probably not going to get too many votes down here, but if you could use any influence, I sure would appreciate it. I'm going to use my 2 minutes to tell you about myself and why I think you should vote for me, why I'm the best candidate. First of all, from a professional standpoint, I'm retired from Cox Media Group, Dayton Daily News. I was the circulation director there, spent 24 years there. Since retiring, I've been a realtor for the last 12 years. Mostly with Coldwell Banker. I'm now with Navex. I have a bachelor's degree from Wright State University as well as a master's degree from Wright State University. I'm proud of both of those. I love Wright State. From the civic side, two things I'd like to mention. I have a long history of civic involvement where I'm from up there, but two things I want to throw out there is for the last 12 years, I've been an elected official up there in Clayton, Ohio, where I live. First of all, I was on the planning commission, and then I was on the council, and for the last 8 years, I was the mayor up there. I left it better than I found it, and they're poised to succeed. So now it's up to them. Hopefully they'll be able to continue that. Why I think I should, why I believe you should vote for me, it comes down to this. We have a primary on May 5th. The two things that I want, if I'm voting, is I want my representative to be a registered Democrat, not undecided, other, undisclosed, or all the other things they call. And I also want my representative to have a voting record, which I have not only in elections for the past 35 years, but also at the local level up in Clayton, Ohio. Okay. I'm being waved off, so thank you. I appreciate your support.
Thank you all so much. We do have a couple seats over here. Those of you who are standing, you can walk across the front and have a seat, or if you're uncomfortable walking across the front, you can walk around the hallway in the back and come in this door. There you go, there you go. Give them a hand for getting some seats. All the way over there. There we go. All right. I do want to recognize any elected officials. If you would just raise your hand. I saw Jocelyn Reinhardt from Dayton Public School Board. You're going to need to tell me your name, sir. Mark Peters, Centerville School Board. Thank you for joining us. Do we have any other candidates besides the ones who introduced themselves? We have Ann Keaton, who is running for judge. Common Pleas? Correct. Common Pleas judge. Anyone else?
Don's out in the hall.
We have, Daquan Neal, who is running for state rep in House District, is it 37? 39? 39? Okay, I think we're good. All right. So we are going to, I'm just going to talk really quickly about some upcoming events in our next meeting, and then we're going to get into our panel. So February 25th, Tom Herner, who you heard tonight, he has a kickoff at Bach Family Brewing from 5 to 7. A lot of this is in our emails, by the way, so you will get another chance at this information, or do what many of you are doing and take a picture of it with your phone. February 26th, so that's Thursday, Montgomery County Democratic Party is doing a Black History Month celebration at their headquarters at 5:30. Please do RSVP. They have not received a lot of RSVPs. I think a lot of people might be coming but not telling them. So if you're planning to go, just give a call. There's the phone number of headquarters, and just even leave a message and let them know, because they are providing food. So let them know. February 27th, someone let me know today, there's a Prevent Blindness Ohio event with Tony Hall, former diplomat, Tony Hall, a little before my day, at the Presidential Banquet Center at 11:30. February 28th, Greater Dayton Young Dems are doing an All Things Campaigns workshop, which I'm very excited about, at MCDB headquarters, 10 to 2. March 3rd, Kristina Knickerbocker told you about her kickoff at Dayton Beer Company at 5:30. The next No Kings Rally, March 28th, it's going to be at Courthouse Square, 1 to 3. So we've seen these get bigger and bigger, so have that on your calendar if that's something you're interested in. And our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, March 31st, 5:30 right here, and it's going to be a candidate forum. So some of the candidates you heard tonight will be back. We will have more candidates. It's going to be really exciting, so make sure you mark your calendar for that. All right, let's welcome our panelists for our immigration panel. I'm going to kind of let them come on up here and take a seat, and then I will introduce them once they are up here. So we'll give them a chance to, I think Miranda, I saw her. And then
she just went by me.
She just decided this, she's like, I'm done. I've seen enough. I don't blame her. I don't blame her. But we're so grateful to have, oh, there you are. I thought maybe you were like, and I'm done with South Dayton Dems. But thank you, Miranda, for coming back. Welcome. Well, on behalf of our club, I am so excited to have all of you here. I am so grateful to all of you for being here, for the work that you do and spending your time with us. We're going to hop right into me introducing each of you, and then we're going to hop into some questions, and we are planning to save some time for audience questions as well. So if you have questions, kind of hold on to it, and we'll make sure that we leave plenty of time for that at the end here. So I'm going to start off by introducing our panelists. First, we have David Larson here. David Larson is an immigration attorney. He grew up in Germantown, Ohio. He loves sports, especially football and basketball. He went to Wittenberg University, served 2 years in the Peace Corps in Turkey, teaching English as a second language, and he still remembers how to speak some Turkish. He obtained a master's degree in public administration from UNC Chapel Hill and worked for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, better known as HUD. He was a community development director for the city of Miamisburg before entering law school at Ohio State. He and his wife, Roberta, have 2 children, and they love reading, cooking, traveling, and ballroom dancing. Renaissance man up here. They have a large circle of friends, many from their church, Grace United Methodist, where I also go to church, and that's how I knew David, and he was our first panelist, and we kind of built the panel from there. And he said in his bio that he sent me about him and his wife, "We are both grateful for the love we share, the lives we have led, and the lives ahead of us." So welcome, David. Our next panelist is Miranda Hallet. She earned her PhD from Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and currently serves as Director of Interdisciplinary Studies, Associate Professor of Cultural Anthropology, and Research Fellow at the Human Rights Center at the University of Dayton. She's trained as a legal anthropologist. Dr. Hallet has worked for over 30 years with trans-border Salvadoran communities, and her research specializes in immigration law and human rights. In addition, her work and teaching deals with citizenship practices and claims made in contexts where people are faced with state violence or constrained by authoritarianism and punitive practice, which all feels all too present right now. At the local and regional level, she's an active member of the Ohio Immigrant Alliance, the Midwestern Sanctuary Campus Network, and the Miami Valley Immigration Coalition. She's a true believer in the power of people, the regenerative capacity of the earth, and our collective capacity to build a shared future with greater justice and more inclusive communities. Welcome, Dr. Miranda Hallet. Our next panelist is Dr. Gabriela Pickett. She is a Mexican-born artist, activist, and educator who has lived in Dayton for over 20 years. As the former New American Specialist for the Dayton Metro Library, she facilitated essential resources for immigrants, including ESL classes and programs that helped individuals navigate their rights and path to citizenship. She's a former Dayton Public School Board member and has served as a board member on the city's Human Relations Council. An accomplished artist and curator, her work explores themes of social justice, peace, and the experiences of marginalized Indigenous communities. Throughout her career, she's been a leading voice for the Welcome Dayton initiative, working to foster equity and build cultural bridges. Among her community advocacy initiatives, she's the founder of Camp Esperanza. Welcome, Dr. Gabriela Pickett. Our final panelist is Imam Ayman Soliman. He is a dedicated religious leader and former chaplain at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, who originally fled to the United States from Egypt in 2014 after facing persecution for his work as a journalist. Having built a life of service in Ohio, he was unexpectedly arrested by ICE on July 9, 2025, after his asylum status was abruptly revoked. Following 73 days of detention in the Butler County Jail, he was released in September 2025 after the Department of Homeland Security dropped its deportation case against him. His case drew immense community support, including interfaith vigils and advocacy from local leaders who highlighted his role as a bridge builder in Cincinnati. Now back in his community, Imam Soliman has had his asylum status reinstated and has pledged to advocate for others facing similar injustices within the immigration system. Please welcome Imam Soliman. I saw him at a Miami Valley Immigration Coalition event, and I went up to him. It was just in the midst of all this darkness to see someone who I had called people about, and I had written letters and I had made phone calls to see him out and free. It was a very moving experience for me, and I'm sure it is for many of you. We are so grateful to have him here tonight. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start in with some questions. For these, and they did receive them in advance. For the first questions, each panelist will have about 5 minutes to answer. You'll have the same signals from Vicki, so Vicki's right there. She'll give you a 1-minute sign when you've got about a minute, and then she'll do this when you've got about 30 seconds left. So that's just how it will go. We're going to start right here with David Larson. Oh, and let me get the other mics here. There we go. So David, our first question, as an attorney, what are the main legal issues facing immigrants in Dayton right now, and how is your office working to help?
Yeah, there are, I've listed 4. Detention and removal in these times when the government is trying to deport as many people as it can. There are more people being detained and more people being put in removal proceedings. Removal proceedings is the actual formal title for deportation. Secondly, I see a lot of people who want to get their relatives green cards. Spouses of U.S. citizens can apply for green cards here in the United States, and I've helped a lot of people do that. Thirdly, there is employment-based immigration, so that people can come to the United States through their work. It pretty much means that you have to have at least a bachelor's degree in order to qualify for green cards based on employment. And then finally, there are several people who are seeking asylum because they're afraid to go back to their home country because they will be persecuted because of their race, their religion, their nationality, their political beliefs, or their particular social group. So those are the people that have come to me in the past for help, and I am a for-profit lawyer, so they have to be able to pay me, although I do take an occasional case on what's called a pro bono basis. That means for the public good. I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you, David. Our next question is for Gabriela Pickett. Gabriela, how does your experience as an immigrant inform your community advocacy work?
Well, I came to the United States 40 years ago, and we all know that immigration is not easy. Across generations, those who cross borders, we all share certain struggles, right? Like limited resources, the language barriers, the navigation of unfamiliar systems, adapting to a new culture, all of that, it's something that I experienced 40 years ago. But what did not prepare me 40 years ago, and that we are feeling right now, is that the challenges are very different. What feels different right now is the climate surrounding those challenges. In previous periods, the primary struggle was bureaucratic, paperwork, waiting, legal complexities, but today many families are experiencing something deeper. Fear that is tied not just to documentation, but to their own identity. By the way they look, by how they speak, because they have an accent, or because they're perceived to be from a different country. So when enforcement begins to feel connected to race, accent, and national origin, that trust erodes. And when that trust erodes, participation shrinks in schools and workplaces and civic life shrinks as well. And so that's where we are right now. I am at a place where I had to leave a place of employment that I like, the library, not because the library wasn't a great place, but because people stopped going there. There's no trust. We are on our own. And so aside from the fact that we had all these issues with not knowing how to navigate a new culture and a new language, now we have a big elephant in the room. And so that's a new reality that we're navigating today.
Thank you, Gabriela. Miranda, question for you. Can you explain how the Miami Valley Immigration Coalition is currently organizing to support our immigrant communities?
Sure. I am going to use up all my 5 minutes, unlike my illustrious fellow panelists. But I first want to thank Rose for inviting me and say I'm really honored to be with all of you here today. I'm an anthropologist, as my intro said. I'm also an expert witness. I serve in immigration courts as an expert witness for asylum seekers from El Salvador. And I'm a member of the Miami Valley Immigration Coalition. I'm going to put this gorgeous and inspiring picture of an action we held outside of, on June 8th, 2025, outside of the Butler County Detention Center. So you have something really pretty to look at while I tell you some really ugly things. The detention and deportation regime is illegal. It's unlawful. It kills. It rips families apart. It subjects people to cruel and inhumane treatment. And it subjects detained people to conditions amounting to torture under international law. The halo of it casts a specter of fear over people, including unauthorized immigrants, but also lots of people who have visas, authorization, TPS, legal permanent residency, and even naturalized citizens and birthright citizens, right, who are likely to be racially profiled. So some of you might have seen that Lorth Sim, a Cambodian refugee who entered the US in 1983 through a resettlement program, died in ICE custody on Monday of the past week. The 7th such death in ICE custody in 2026 already, after a record number of people died in government custody in 2025. Many due to medical neglect or violence from agents of the state. Before his death, Lorth was one of a record number of around 70,000 people locked up in the United States only for their immigration status. Not only the highest number in the country's history, but the highest number by far of any country in the world. We're an international shame. We are a human rights crisis. It bears mentioning that international human rights law and constitutional law forbids the incarceration or punishment of someone solely based on their unauthorized or pending immigration status, allows only minimal civil detention before an orderly and speedy due process to determine eligibility for removal to another country. It also bears mentioning that the people who spend the longest time locked up in these horrible places are humanitarian migrants, such as asylum seekers, or asylum seekers who've won their case and then have it arbitrarily stripped from them with a submitted application with a pending hearing in immigration court. That's why they spend the most time there, because the government cannot deport them in a speedy fashion. The people detained in immigration prisons in the United States include over 1,000 pregnant or postpartum women, some of whom have miscarried after begging for medical care. Some of whom have had their nursing newborns ripped from their arms while less than a month old. This is not just undocumented folks. 1.6 million immigrants with legal protections had their status stripped from them in 2025, which is also a record for any year in this country's history. But that's not this is not an isolated system. This is part of the long history of racial oppression in the US, which has often been carried out through law and used law as an excuse for the mistreatment and oppression of specific groups. It's always included forced removal, think about indigenous people in the Trail of Tears, mass incarceration, forced assimilation, the seizure of children, and the separation of families. There is no reform. We need to abolish ICE. We need to abolish the detention and deportation system. Honestly, the Democratic Party hasn't been great on this issue. It's been far too willing to compromise universal human values, core constitutional principles, and human rights for the sake of political expediency. This is a map of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security presence in the state of Ohio. They're all around us. And local advocacy, getting involved, finding out where they are in your local community and taking action against it is one of the main things that you can do. I might pull this up again later when you ask me the other question. I'm not going to give a lot of updates on the concrete numbers and impacts in Ohio, but our Dayton community has many people who have been torn apart in this way. People have been seized while walking from their home to their car to go to work or church. There's also a lot of us taking action, and you can absolutely join us. So MVIC values are the dignity of the person, unity of the family, richness and diversity, equitable treatment, freedom in the pursuit of purpose, and democratic process. We take action for these values in a nonpartisan way through all kinds of advocacy, through research, through writing letters to the editor. I saw Youssef in here, he's great for writing letters to the editor. Direct care to impacted families and individuals, community safety, rights education, know your rights, business canvassing. There are opportunities for you to get involved in any or all of this work. And so I invite you to scan those QR codes, fill out that volunteer form, or at least follow us on our social media, get on the link tree, check out our website, find out what's happening, and get involved in any way you can. Thanks.
I will say at the very least, if you go to the Miami Valley Immigration Coalition website and get on their emails, you'll start receiving information from them so that you can start taking action and getting involved. Our next question is for Imam Soliman. Imam, most of us can only imagine how terrifying ICE detention must be. What helped you maintain your dignity, hope, and sense of self during that time? And how has this experience changed you? And I'll just say, if you need more than 5 minutes to answer this, we are all okay with that.
Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to be talking to you tonight. Thanks for making it, especially in such a cold day. Thank you. One of the things that keeps me going, it's out of the question, but is every time I attended an event, even if it was a very short notice, people show up in great numbers, so that gives me a lot of hope. And I'm very, very hopeful and optimistic about the future of this struggle. Thanks for being here. I was detained 4 times in Egypt before moving here because of my activism and my work as a journalist, and I got tortured in 3 of them at least. But in complete honesty, without exaggeration, my detainment at the Butler County Jail for 73 days was far more traumatizing than my experience in Egypt. What helped me maintain my dignity and keep hope was 3 things as I remember. One is my faith. This actually was one of the situations where I had no other resort but to strengthen my relationship with my faith and my God. I was detained unexpectedly. I was in a regular routine check-in with ICE. I was there in their office. I followed the rules. I did everything right. I was in the immigration court in Cleveland, so I was challenging their unjust, unlawful, discriminatory decision of revoking my asylum status that I maintained since 2018. So it was very unexpected, and I never imagined that the community will stand up and advocate for me, so there was no way I could survive this without my relationship with God. I believe as a Muslim that God is in control and everything happens according to His will and His decree. All I could do is to try to resist as much as I possibly can to just survive. But I know everything was planned, and I know He has ways to get me out of this if it was the best thing for me. So my faith was very important, and I think I never felt closer to God as much as I felt while I was in detention. I think He was with me every single minute. Every time I was about to fall down and give up, He showed me some sign that kept me going. The second thing was the overwhelming support I got from the community. Never in my greatest dreams had I ever imagined that the community will stand up, raise their voice, and advocate on my behalf in a way that people showed during this incident. I'm one of 60, 70,000 detainees. No one actually knows the actual numbers, but at the time I was detained in July 9th, the number was around 60 or 70,000. And I'm sure many of them, at least the one I met, were here legally, were documented, and did everything right. So I was not an exception. What happened in my case was even before I arrived at the Butler County Jail, I was detained. My meeting was at 9, they interrogated me till 12, 11:30, 12. They decided to detain me at 12. They moved me to the Butler County Jail at 2:30 p.m. The moment my attorney left the room, left the office and told 10, 15 friends and clergy who came to support me that I was detained, they started working on advocating on my behalf. 3 p.m. I was arriving at the Butler County Jail, and there was a press conference in front of the Department of Homeland Security in Blue Ash. We were always one step ahead of them. Nothing was planned. This was all random. People decided to do something in order to save my life. My case was somehow special. I'm sure there are many people who had the same situation, but I was expecting death if I were deported to Egypt. This was near certain death. So people who knew me knew that, so they started acting. So the support I got from the community, I arrived at the Butler County Jail. Dehumanization is the motto from the first minute. An officer met me at midnight. I arrived at 3 p.m. Midnight, I was filling some papers, and he told me, Chaplain Soliman, I'm sorry you're here, but I just wanted to let you know that you're all over the news, and there are people fighting for you already. And you have no idea what that meant to me in such a dark moment. So people support that continued for 73 days, non-stop. I was on the news almost every single day in a different channel, newspapers, petitions, vigils, protests. 15 courageous people got detained at the Roebling Bridge between Kentucky and Cincinnati for protesting my detainment. Finally, the letters, the community worked in a very, very amazing way. I received 760 letters of support from people, mostly I never met before. I only knew 20 people of the people that sent letters. 760 letters from across the country and even from Europe. Some people heard my story through some friend in the US, and these letters were literally what I needed. Is why I said God knew what I needed, and every time I was falling down, He would send me a kind letter. And I'll share one single letter with you right now. A church in Indiana. I never met any of their staff. I never met the pastor. Never met the families. Heard my story, and they decided to talk about me on their Sunday youth program. The youth minister talked to her kids about the injustice that I was facing and how we have a shared humanity. She asked them to write some letters to me. And I got 14 letters from the youth group in some church in Indiana. Some of them that was very, very touching. God knows I got this in one of the darkest days I had in jail. I was in solitary confinement for advocating for my inmates to have a quiet place to space to pray. I spent 6 days not leaving my cell more than 60 minutes a day. No commissary food, no meeting an attorney, no engagement with any staff. So I got 14 letters. Many of them were just kind words or some picture of a bird leaving the cage. One of them told me, my name is Katie, and I am 9 years old. I believe in God just like you, and I believe that what you're facing is unacceptable. I'm not going to only pray for you, but I promise I'll do my best that when I grow up, this never happens again. So that is actually what kept me alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I got chills about 4 times while you were talking. So this next question is for any of our panelists who would care to answer, and we'll give you about 2 minutes to answer. But what types of services or support do you see immigrants in our community needing the most right now?
Well, people whose money winners have been detained need cash. They need money, they need groceries, they need transport. Many single parents need what are called powers of attorney for childcare, because when parent is taken into custody, that leaves a child without any supervision or support. And those kinds of things, powers of attorney, advocates for basic legal equality, Legal Aid of Western Ohio, have models for that kind of thing. And for the other things, the kind of practical support, I really recommend to you the Miami Valley Immigration Coalition. It is actually a very new organization, probably within the last 5 years. And they've been a blessing from God to all people who are struggling with immigration problems. That's enough for me.
Thanks, David. And you're a member of MVIC too. So
I am.
we stand here, two volunteers of MVIC. Yeah, I think 2019 is maybe our official start, but lots of us have been in these conversations since before then about what needs to be done, to respond to our compelling desire to be neighbors across lines of nationality or ethnicity. We do advocacy, we do mutual aid, we do encounter with the testimonies of impacted people. So we try to center, partly through community-based participatory research with immigrants and immigrant families, center their needs, what they see as possible and how they want allies and advocates to support them. We do public education, we do accompaniment, so there truly is, I switched back to the diagram because there's so much stuff we do, and there's a place for everybody in that movement, right? Even if you're not the kind of person that's necessarily going to do ICE watch or go around in your car trying to monitor ICE, enforcement activity, there's tons of other stuff to do, from food distribution to, I think, primarily and most importantly, the political advocacy piece, and that's in the wheelhouse of the audience here, I assume. So, pay attention to that. And I know we've got another question about legislative advocacy coming up, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. So right now, when I think about the needs of the immigration families, just think about the people that I'm serving right now, which is once a person is being detained or deported, there's an entire family that lost most of the time the breadwinner to deportation. So those are the kind of people that I'm trying to focus on when I'm saying, when I list those needs, think about those people. They need stabilization, they need accurate legal information, they need mental health support for children who are absorbing a lot of stress. They need institutions like schools, hospitals, faith communities to communicate clearly and consistency with them. But beyond services, we need community infrastructure. In times of uncertainty, like I said before, people don't turn to institutions, they turn to the people they already trust. And so one of the things that I did is people came to me because they trusted me, and we started something called Camp Esperanza. The name Camp started because we were going to truly do a camp for children who had no parents to take them out. And it turned out to be a gigantic family of 15 families affected by this with 31 children. And then at one point, a couple of months ago, we realized in order for this to be sustainable, we need to have clusters across the city. So this is a leaderless movement where what I'm trying to do is help families be empowered, help them with entrepreneurship or whatever is it that they need, and kind of map out their lives. Where do they need to be 10 days after this happens? Because there's denial, there's drama. So we have to be there for them. And then after that, they need to have some planning. Am I going to go back to my country? What does that look like? There's a lot of legal processes. And as well, if they want to stay here, what does that look like as well?
I know our panelists said a lot, but as a former detainee, I would say there are three things that we can all do that will make a difference. One is definitely support the groups, the organization that work on behalf of the immigrants, whether those who are detained or those who are out. I remember being in jail, I noticed that many inmates would complain that the food is making them sick, which made me sick. I lost 20 pounds on my weight. I was only 145, so I lost 20 pounds, which is like 14% of my weight. And I was lucky because people were filling my commissary account with money so I could buy some food, which is still very low quality, but compared to the other one is much better. So many people cannot really afford a meal and they're actually sick. So actually many of our organizations reach out to these inmates and give, I think Ohio Immigrant Alliance was giving $25 to some, to many inmates, and sometimes you cannot do that because it's too much money. So supporting this organization is very, very helpful. Some inmates cannot actually have very, very easy cases to win, but they don't have the means to pay for the legal fees. These are very, very important. Send the letters, like the letters that I received. They really make a huge difference. And if you don't know someone inside, contact this organization. They know someone inside. Go to the website of some of our jails that have contracts with ICE, and just look at the names. Send random letters to these names and tell them we're thinking of you, we're praying for you, and we're fighting for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Miranda, were you saying that this would be a place if people wanted to know how to write the letters? This would be where they
Yes. So the Ohio Immigrant Alliance has immigrant solidarity and protection programs, including a phone buddy program where they will connect you with someone you can talk to by the phone, make sure that they're not isolated, send letters. MVIC also, we do letter campaigns, so at any given time we know some folks who are detained who would love to receive a letter. We don't post that stuff publicly on our website, but if you contact us on the email, you can find out how. And then that link tree, actually the MVIC link tree has a donation link to the Ohio Immigrant Alliance as well for their commissary fund, and then for our local bond fund, and then for what Gabriela was talking about, which is the mutual aid networks of impacted families. That money goes directly to the families to do what they need, right? What they need in the moment. So yeah, donate, absolutely.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question for anyone who would care to answer: what are the most important policy or legislative changes you'd like to see, either locally, statewide, or nationally, that could make a real difference?
The mic always ends up here, so I start. I think the most important thing is that we all be aware that there are steps that have been taken by the current presidency to impose what amounts to martial law on some of our cities. And so I think we need to be cognizant that it's a danger to us all if we have government forces arresting and detaining individuals in any of our cities or anywhere else in the country, particularly if the government decides to start using military forces in the localities. I think it's a very dangerous, slippery slope. Now, prior to this, this unforeseen development in the history of our country, although that we have a long history of disliking foreigners. I have 1 minute already. We have a long history of disliking foreigners. Benjamin Franklin railed against German immigrants. They don't speak the language. They're
ready.
Yeah, that's right. They don't fit in. So that was the start, and then it's continued from that. Now, the one thing that I would like to see, if we didn't have to worry about militarization of our society, is that we have some avenue for unskilled workers, cheap labor, to come into the United States. If they are organized, they won't necessarily be cheap. So I think there ought to be a way for people to come in and work in construction, in hotels, in agriculture, the jobs that immigrants have traditionally been filling. There should be a way for them to come in and fill those jobs legitimately. And currently there is not, and there hasn't been for the last 40 years.
I just want to mention 2 specific advocacy pieces and also go back to this. This is a QR code goes to NDIC's live updated Google Doc of advocacy actions. It has like the contact info for our local representatives at the top and just bullet points of like, here's something crazy that's happening at the Ohio State House that you should call your rep and complain about, right? So two actions that are listed on there right now that I think are worth highlighting. Petition to extend temporary protected status for Haitians. That will impact our local community of Springfield quite a bit because there are probably around 15,000 Haitian people living there, many of whom have TPS status. So advocating for that is a good action everybody in this room can take. And then the second one I want to mention is State Bill 172, which is now in the Ohio House Committee, passed the Senate. It's a terrible bill that would allow arrests without a warrant in the name of immigration enforcement to happen anywhere to anybody in this whole state. It's a civil rights nightmare, not just for non-citizens, but for all of us. It's terrible. Call your legislators and tell them, don't pass SB 172.
Can you say that again?
SB 172, State Bill 172. More information at that link.
Thank you. Thank you. We were talking about legislation, and one thing I want to say is I would love for the law to have equal weight on our leaders as it does to me. That's one thing that I would really absolutely love. Another one is I would say we cannot underestimate the power of really encouraging young people to vote. We need to somehow convince them that this is a very serious time and voting is super important, especially in midterms and local elections, right? I might not have a lot of control in terms of what's happening at a national level, but we can definitely decide what we want to do in our own communities.
Yeah, there is nothing I would say after what they said, but in a serious note, I wish we have a legislation that decides or make it mandatory for anyone taking public office to have a certain IQ number.
I think we can all get behind that one. So I do want to open it up to audience questions. We have about 15 minutes left in our meeting. If anyone has a question that you'd like to ask any of our panelists, please raise your hand. I'll bring the mic to you so that we can hear you. Yes, ma'am, right here.
Okay, two things. Thank you all so much for coming. First, I want to add IQ and EQ. Both of us. Second, Amon, I believe, right? Ayman, I'm sorry. I just want to ask, without you going into sharing too much more personal information than you want to, how are you feeling supported dealing with the trauma now? And are there ways that people can support you more financially? I know background, I'm a nurse. I worked at Cincinnati Children a long time ago. So just knowing the profession as you were and just the great work that I read that you did, just wanting to make sure that obviously just the impact that had on you personally, how can it be continued to be supported as you're dealing with trauma, basically.
Well, thank you very much for being kind and asking this question. As for the support I'm receiving, I said in a TV interview before that the support and love that I have received since I get detained until today is enough for me to feel loved until the end of my life. I had a very, very loving and supportive community. When I was asked how this experience changed me, I said, I'm not really sure that I'll ever feel safe in the US and call America home, but I'm certain that I can call Southwest Ohio, Cincinnati home for the amount of love I'm receiving. Having this big crowd showing up today, I'm sure most, if not all of you, could just have enjoyed your privilege you're American citizens, stay at home, enjoy some time, but showing up today, I don't think you guys will get any benefit from showing up. There is no personal interest. Just showing up for your neighbors, showing up for the vulnerable is really huge. As for the financial aspect, I'm so grateful that I have some savings that keeps me going, and I'm going to be starting a job with TriHealth next month. Thank you very much for asking.
We have a question maybe from this side of the room, so I'll make sure that I get to everyone. I saw this ma'am back here.
I'm concerned about voting rights.
Will you use the mic just so everyone can hear?
I'm really concerned about voting rights, especially in coming up. And what can we do for an advocacy program to ensure that our people are not being taken off the rolls? And how can we reach out to our senior citizens as well as our youth to help them to register, to be involved? Thank you.
Does anyone feel comfortable with the question about voting rights? David?
Yes, participate in voter registration drives. Go around, make sure that people are signed up. Make sure they have ID.
Become a precinct volunteer, like Mel Rodriguez said. That's how, y'all. That's exactly how.
How many of you have proof on you right now that you are a U.S. citizen? Really? Miss with the orange scarf, what is your proof? You have a passport, great. How many of you have birth certificates? With you. How many have your passports with you? Okay. The Save America Act is an attempt to require proof of citizenship before you can vote.
And we have done some emails about some of these things, and things like the 5 Calls app, which we've talked about before. It will have information about these things. If you have the 5 Calls app, these are things that you can call. The SAVE Act is in the Senate right now, so calling our senators, just making noise about it, educating our neighbors, and as David said, making sure people are registered to vote, and all of the things that Allison talked about. The new voter requirements in the election laws in Ohio are very strict, and people don't know, right? Your mail-in ballot has to be at the Board of Elections on election day by 7:30 p.m. or it will be thrown in the trash. People don't know this. And so getting involved, like Mel talked about, at the local level, this is a way to educate our neighbors and our communities about these things because it's going to affect this election. Another question.
Let me say one more
sorry.
thing.
I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. I said, I was done, but I thought of something else. And that is that if birthright citizenship is destroyed, we will all have to carry our passports with us. I'm not sure a birth certificate would do the job, because just because you're born here, if birthright citizenship is done away with, a birth here doesn't prove that you're a citizen. So I think it's very important to, you can't really lobby the Supreme Court, but it's important to support the idea that, yes, we want to keep birthright citizenship.
Thank you, David. Dr. Don, put your hand up.
Thank you. So I do carry my passport with me, but I also know that ICE is given strict instruction to capture and to detain anyone within 4 minutes. That they want to get in, they want to get out. So within 4 minutes, there's no way for me to show my passport, to prove that my passport is real. They can take it away and say, this is a fake passport, and then they put you in a car, and then the next day you are in Louisiana or Texas. So that's not even an answer to your solution either. I wanted to address Gabriela. I think that you're absolutely right, and you and I are in the same boat. We arrived here for so long ago, and the rules have changed. So the most common post that you see about on Daily News or whatever about these detainees, these detentions and these things happen in Minnesota is that if you did the right thing, if you follow the rules, you apply for whatever, you follow the right path, you would not be detained. But that's so wrong. These people are doing it the right way, enter through the regular portals at the border and follow the papers for asylum seeking, etc., and yet they are being detained and deported. So I want to ask you, if I were here, if I came here today, I don't know that I'll be able to answer those 20 questions that have increased from 10 to 20 now with the new rules that went into effect in October last year about you want to become a citizen. You also have to prove your moral character, and that's not defined by the DHS. What is the moral character of an immigrant? And they feel free to suggest, for example, paying, getting a good job, paying child support on time, etc., or volunteering for Little League. So who is an immigrant who's going to volunteer for Little League baseball to prove that you have a good moral character? So that's the most ridiculous thing, yeah. And then you also will now are free to go and ask for your neighbors, your co-workers, to prove that you are a person of good moral standing. So all it takes is a MAGA neighbor of yours saying, no, that this person has no moral whatever standing, and then you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of distrust, and that's where being good neighbors comes. So it's so important right now, right? I can't do a lot of things as a librarian, as a teacher, as a government worker, but I can do a lot of things as a human being, as a neighbor. Okay, and so one of the things, just to give you an example, I like to paint. I'm doing these shirts, and these shirts are being sold as a fundraiser. Anything that comes through if I sell it, is going through a nonprofit. But I'm also giving away 20, 30 shirts to these groups. And they are not going out there asking for, crumbs to people they know. They're saying, I want to sell you this shirt that I got for, X amount of money. And they are getting something beautiful, and there's an even exchange, there's an equal interaction right there with dignity. And it's money that I will never see. And that's one of the things that we can do. We have to start thinking outside the box. I'm making t-shirts and I'm giving them away. They're selling them and making a killing with it, and that's amazing. And so we have to think about outside the box, and precisely because the system is designed to crush us. We have to look at each other and think not as organizations, but really as neighbors.
Thank you, Gabriela. Another question from this side? You, sir, in the back?
It's pretty simple. Why do people think that the Democratic Party has anything good to offer immigrants?
Well, I will say these our panelists are not representatives of the Democratic Party, so it's a good question. Maybe we could rephrase it as, do you think the Democratic Party has something to offer immigrants? If so, what? Or what would you like to see them offer immigrants? Maybe that's a better way to phrase it, because they're not here as...
Well, what do the Republicans offer?
ICE.
What does Biden offer?
Does anybody want to try that question? Or
Well, I mean, as a leader, it's very simple, right? Republicans are offering Donald Trump, right? And my moral values have always been Democratic values. So the day that changes, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, this is where I feel more comfortable.
Yeah, there has legislators, national legislators, have often proposed legislation that would benefit immigrants. They just haven't been able to pass it. So I think there's a chance that if we have a Democratic Congress
And a Democratic Senate.
right, Congress includes both the Senate and
House
of
and Senate.
Representatives,
Sorry.
and a Democratic president. I think there's a decent chance that we will see at least immigration reform. Now, I don't think we'll see the abolishment of the immigration system, but there are a lot of things that can be done short of abolishment that would certainly help immigrants to assimilate and come to the United States.
All right, we had one.
Can
I just
add?
add?
Yep, I'm sorry. Go
It's
ahead.
super brief. Like, for those of you who are deeply invested in party politics and you're involved in your party and you're push your party to stand on the principles and on the constitutional rights. Like, the Democratic Party needs to do better on this issue, and you can, and our representatives can, but they need to know that there's a groundswell of support from the grassroots to take that stand and to not ever compromise human dignity or human rights, right, for the sake of some kind of political expediency. It's very important that they hear from you on that regard. And I probably many of you in this room are feeling like you didn't necessarily know before how much was at stake in the debate around immigration. But hopefully you are waking up now and you see how important it is and how much compromise is unacceptable when it comes to human rights and constitutional order.
Well said, Miranda. Thank you. This will be our last question. We're taking a little while.
This will be good. So, my passion in life is languages and learning them, and one of the things we don't talk about is the wall that separates so many of us who are not bilingual or whatever. So my question is, beyond just offering ESL classes, what do we do as a community to help break down those language barriers?
Because I mean, when I was at the library, I was doing ESL classes for the immigrants, right? And they were going, and so there's a void right now. But we have been also very effective at creating Bilingual Nation, which is a group where there's classes for Spanish, and one is at the library Mondays at 5:30. I think. Can you raise your hand if you're interested in learning Spanish? You could just sign up with the guy over there, and he has an online class on Tuesday and one on Monday. And the whole idea is to get the two cultures together, getting people to get to another. In fact, I think some people in the back, raise your hand if you ever attended these Spanish classes. There's one over there. Yeah, there's a couple of people here. So they are classes. We are trying to feel that way.
Yeah, you may have heard about Welcome Dayton. There's a Welcome Dayton commission that has been trying to help immigrants integrate into the community, and one of the things that Welcome Dayton focuses on is language access, language competency on the part of the police officers, language competency on the part of hospital personnel. So there are efforts being made to help people communicate.
All right. Well, I want to take this moment to thank our panelists and give them a very big round of applause. So I will just let you know, as we are leaving tonight, we do have to reset this room. So you're welcome to help with that. If you're not able or you have to leave, that's fine. But we do ask that you do exit so that our volunteers can reset. The chairs that do not have wheels will have to be stacked, and we will wheel them over. Some of our wheelie chairs will also go over there, but then we will also need to put back our tables. So it will look like classroom style with tables across. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This has been an incredible panel, and I hope everyone's walking away with some things that you can take away with you and make our world better. Thank you all.